Today on Stock Charts in Focus, we're talking about one of the biggest, the most important features of a Stock Charts membership. That's ChartList. This is how you save and organize the charts that you're watching, the charts that you've created, whether you're creating watch lists, building lists for your portfolios, building your different market evaluation lists, or simply keeping track of what some of the experts on Stock Charts TV have been sharing. ChartList, definitely one of the most important reasons to subscribe to Stock Charts, one of the most powerful tools that we have on the site. So today we're going to walk you through it. There's a lot to see in both SharpCharts and ACP, our new interactive advanced charting platform. Lots to cover. Of course, you know what it is. It's all new. It's all here. It's Stock Charts in Focus. All right, my friends, welcome to the show, Stock Charts in Focus, our product focus show here on Stock Charts TV. If you're new to the show, welcome. This is the place to learn about all things stock charts, tools, features, everything that's happening on Stock Charts TV, anything really that's happening around the site, around the channel. This is where we're going to talk about it. My name is Grayson Roze. I'm the Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. Thrilled to be with you. An episode that we've been talking about doing for a long time, one that I'm really looking forward to because chart lists truly are one of the most important features of stock charts. For me as a user, in addition to working at the company, this is where I spend most of my time working with my chart lists, creating those lists, saving my charts, organizing them, and then coming back to review those chart lists every day, every week, every month. So chart lists really are one of the most powerful things that you can set up in your Stock Charts account, one of the most important things that you can really nail as a Stock Charts member. So it's going to be great to show you around it today. There's a lot to see, and we're going to take a look at it in both platforms, SharpCharts, our original charting style, and then also the new ACP platform, our advanced interactive charting platform. So lots to see for both platforms. Let's get right to it. So we're going to start here on the members dashboard. Of course, the first page that you see when you log into Stock Charts. I like to call this the heart and soul of your Stock Charts account because it really does sort of contain everything that you need to see. This page is actually highly customizable. We've done episodes on it in the past. We talk a lot about it. But the reason that we're starting here is because this is actually one of the best places to go to access your chart lists. So depending on your service level, this page does look a little bit different. If you're a basic member, you actually only get one chart list. But when you jump up to our extra or our pro levels, you get a lot more chart lists in your account. So we're going to show you how all of this works. My account is at the pro level, so mine might look a little bit different than yours, but hopefully pretty similar, and you'll be able to get a lot out of this demo. So I actually, when I come to the dashboard, the first thing that I always do when I'm trying to get to my chart list, instead of scrolling all the way down this page, I look for this little button over here on the right side that says chart lists. When you give that a click, it's going to jump you right down to all of your chart lists that you have in your account. Now, a lot of people kind of gloss over this chart list panel on the dashboard. You can see that we've kind of jumped past a whole bunch of other panels and we've jumped right to that chart list one. A lot of people gloss over this though. They kind of, move past it really quickly. They just click on their lists and they go and work on them in sort of the chart list views. There's actually a lot of important things though in this panel that you can set up. So we're going to take a look at it here, walk you through everything that you can do. So first and foremost, this does give you just a general list of all the chart lists that you have in your account. Now, right now, this is just SharpCharts. We don't have your ACP lists included on the dashboard. That's coming very soon. We're going to be adding that. But right now, what you're looking at is all of your SharpCharts chart lists. So you see you've got the number in your account. In my case, I've got up to 350 chart lists in my pro level. I've used 192 of them. I have a ton of lists stored in my account. People love to always poke me about it and say, how do you have so many chart lists? But I do have a lot of chart lists. But in general, what this shows you is just a quick rundown of all the lists that you have in your account. So you can scroll through here. The name highlighted in blue there is a link. So you can give that a click and quickly jump over to that specific list. But in the case of SharpCharts, in our SharpCharts world, we do actually have a lot of different views. So you can also go to this view list column, click on this menu, open this right up, And these are all of the different chart list views that we have for your SharpCharts chart lists. Summary is going to give you just a high-level summary, what the sort of the latest price data is doing for everything in that list. 10 per page is going to give you 10 charts on each page. So you're actually going to get to see the charts there on the screen in sort of a scrolling view. You get them stacked on top of each other. ChartBook gives you one at a time. GalleryView gives you mini charts of everything in the list. And this really kind of goes on and down. Oh, but sorry, that's a CandleGlance gives you mini charts of everything in the list. GalleryView actually gives you each symbol in the list in different time frames, sort of all stacked on top of each other. So we'll cover this a little bit more. We'll run through each one, but all of these different views here are accessible from this little menu for each list. You also get the number of charts and any notes that you have on that chart list. Actually, a feature that I don't use quite as much as some other people, but those will get loaded in here, and you can always hit the little more button to sort of expand that and see it. We just give you a little preview to start, but you can always expand that. So lots and lots of things here in this table, and it really is kind of the jumping off point. But there are a couple of other things that you can do right from this page on the dashboard. First, you actually have a little edit button up here, and when you give that a click, you notice that you get these little check boxes over on the left side of the screen. Those open up. And now my account looks a little funny because I do have so many, but what that also turns on at the very bottom of this table, as I scroll all the way through it, it turns on a little delete button. So when I click one of these, let's say I wanted to delete, let's do this old pitch chart list. I click that and you'll see this little delete lists button pops up. So if you ever want to delete multiple chart lists at once, maybe you install a chart pack or something, which you can access, by the way, over here. If you want to delete multiple charts at once, you can always turn that on, that little edit button, click the ones that you want, and then scroll to the bottom. You'll get that little delete button. So an easy way to work with some of your chart lists there. A couple other options, though, that you have here. One, you can also create a new chart list right from this page. So if you give this new button a click over there on the top of the panel, you'll be able to enter a name for that new chart list and jump right over to that. We'll do that in just a second. But the other thing that I wanted to mention on this page is an important key. I'm going to shut off the edit there. You've got all these list views that we were looking at before. And we wanted to provide a way for you to pick and choose which one was actually your favorite. Some people love summary view. I love to have that be sort of the default view for my chart list. When I click on a chart list, what I really want to see is summary view in general. Some other people love 10 per page, though. They want to get right to the charts. Some people love that CandleGlance view that we were talking about, little mini charts of every symbol in the list all on one screen. So what we've actually done is customized or created a way for you to customize the way that you access your chart list, what sort of your default chart list view is. So when you come up to this little gears toggle, you give that a click, you can actually set your default chart list view right from here. So this is going to allow you to set which one you want to see when you click on our chart list. Again, for me, I love summary view, so I've got that saved as my default. So when I jump into something like, well, let's jump into my tier 1 watch list. Now I've got the summary view. If I go back and I change that to 10 per page, then when I click on that name, the thing that pops up is going to be the 10 per page view. So those are a couple of the things that you can do from that dashboard. But now, once we've actually clicked into one, as we just did, we're looking at what we call the chart list views. So you see that this looks a little bit different. We're taken to a sort of a section of the website that is all about the chart list. It's really dedicated to your SharpCharts chart lists. So we'll walk you through this. There are a couple of pieces. We'll jump through each one and then also show you the edit page, which is a really important one for working with your chart lists. Right up at the top, you've got a menu for selecting which list you want to work with. In this case, we're looking at what I call my tier 1 watch list, just sort of a dump bucket of stocks that I'm interested in, stocks that I'm following. So you've got this menu here up at the top, and you can open that up and choose any list that you want. If I wanted to jump over to maybe my global equities list, which has a bunch of different ETFs for sort of tracking the global markets, I can do that. Now I'm in a different list. This allows you to switch which list you are looking at. So you can really jump back and forth between those lists pretty easily. Next up, right next to that, we have, again, that same sort of list view menu that we were looking at on the dashboard. This is how you get back and forth between all of your different views for your chart list. So you select which list you want to look at, and then you're selecting how you want to look at that list. In this case, we're looking at the summary view. You get a couple of action buttons on top of that. So you can edit this list right from here. That's actually a duplicate of this button. So the edit view is sort of a specific chart list view, but we make it really easy to get to that with that edit button as well. If you need to delete the list for any reason, you can also do that from here. You can add a new list right from here. And then you also have a link to further instructions. So if you're ever wondering how something works for one of your chart lists, you can click that right there. That'll send you over to our documentation and give you more information about how to use these different chart lists. So that's kind of the top, the piece of the chart list views that is consistent across all of those different views: summary, 10 per page, CandleGlance, everything like that. Let's jump in and see how each one works. And then, like I mentioned, we'll jump over to the edit page because there's some important features over on that edit page as well. So first up, we're looking at summary view, one that I look at a lot. Again, this is, if you're looking at a list that's mostly stocks or ETFs, this is a great place to come to see sort of a performance summary of everything in that list. Especially if you've got maybe your portfolio loaded into a chart list, this is a great view to come at and sort of track your portfolio on a daily basis. You got a couple of different options. You've got different period options up here in the top left, so you can always choose between those. And then when you hit this columns button, it also allows you to customize which columns you want to see in this table. So for instance, I've turned off the sector and industry column in this view, but you can turn those back on. We'll see how that works. Now I've got those sector and industry classifications right there. So it makes it really easy to sort of customize the look of this table depending on what you want to see. If you want to throw out something like volume, you can see I've also turned that out. You can do that really easily. It gives you a lot of customizations there. In the table itself, one other thing I do want to note, you can always click on the name of the chart, again, highlighted in blue. That'll get you right over to a specific chart that you've saved. But you also have these links over here in the left side. This will take you to some of the different charting tools. It'll take you over to something like symbol summary. It'll take you to the SharpChart of that. You can also get to a GalleryView or a PNF or a seasonality chart. Lots of different options right in there. Those are a helpful way to get to different charting tools for the things that you've saved into your list. Next up, let's flip through some of the other views. We'll jump over to 10 per page. Now this chart list has a ton of things in it, but this is how it looks. It gives you 10 charts all stacked on top of each other right in one view. So you can really just sort of scroll through the charts that you've saved into your list, see everything kind of right there. You have a couple of options. You can delete. When you hover over one of these charts, you'll see that you get a little trash can there. So you can actually delete things right from this 10 per page just by clicking that little trash can. You can always click on the name of the chart to edit that as well. And then in the actions menu at the top right, you also have, again, a lot of links to jump over to different types of charts, whether you want to get to a SharpChart or a PNF chart, or something like symbol summary. If you want to view historical data for that symbol, you can do that. You got a lot of different options here in this menu. One of the interesting ones is annotate. So in 10 per page, you can actually come here, click annotate, and annotate your charts using chart notes, draw anything that you want, trend lines, support and resistance lines, all that good stuff. You can actually do that right from 10 per page. So an important one there, that annotate button is always a helpful one. I find that I do that a lot. I'm sort of scrolling through my charts in 10 per page, annotating them as I go. It's a really helpful sort of workflow boost being able to do that right from 10 per page. So that's how it looks. You can click through all of these different pages. You get a list of the pages up at the top, and then also one at the bottom of the screen as well. Now, next up, we have something that's going to look really similar. We have ChartBook. ChartBook gives you one chart at a time. So again, you'll see this looks pretty similar. You've got that same actions menu. You can annotate things right from here. You just click annotate. There you go. You got the annotation workbench loaded up, and you can start to draw things like trend lines on your charts. Anything that you want to do there, you can really make that easily accessible with that annotate button. But you also get this other menu up the top of the screen, which allows you to dive into specific charts within that list. So again, think about the menus that we have. We have a select list one to get to different lists. We have your views. Now, within that list, you can actually get to specific charts that you want to see in ChartBook, because again, you're just looking at one at a time. So if I wanted to jump over to maybe the Mattel chart, let's say, I put that up on the screen there in the menu. And then I've got my one chart up on the screen at one time. I can also add comments to this, by the way. At the bottom of all these panels, you can click here to add a comment. So if I wanted to say something like, this looks great, hit save, and now I've got a comment attached to that chart. You've got a similar option actually for chart list notes if you want to keep notes about the entire list as a whole. So a couple of different options there though. ChartBook really looks pretty similar to 10 per page, but just one chart at a time. And you've got a couple of different buttons here as well for next and previous. So you can actually flip back and forth, or you can just use the arrow keys to toggle between those different charts, flipping back and forth between them. So again, if you like 10 per page, test out ChartBook. That's another one that I find I use quite a lot to sort of zero in on one chart at a time. Always a helpful one. Next up, you've got GalleryView. GalleryView gives you one ticker symbol at a time in a multi-time frame view. So you see up at the top, we've got our intraday view. This is a 1 minute chart of this ticker symbol. Down below that, we've got a daily view. Down below that, we've got a weekly view. And down below that, we've actually got a point and figure chart. So a couple of different charting types and timeframes all attached to the same ticker symbol in a list. This is a really helpful way to sort of zoom in and out on that symbol, see how it's looking in different timeframes. And all of these charts actually are fully customizable. So we have a way to save SharpCharts chart styles for everything that you get in GalleryView. So we'll have to cover that on a separate episode. We'll actually do a walkthrough on the standalone GalleryView tool, which is another one that we have. But you do have a way to save different chart styles for each of these. Saving chart styles with the name GalleryView is going to do that for you. So if you're watching this on YouTube, maybe we'll put a link to some help docs on that. You can click down in the description below. We'll put some info for you on how to do that, how to customize those GalleryView styles. Next up, flipping through again, we've got CandleGlance. CandleGlance, another one of my favorites, and also another tool that has sort of a standalone component to it as well. We do have a standalone CandleGlance tool for you as well. But you can come over here and get a CandleGlance view of your chart list. Again, you get all these little mini charts on the screen up at one time. A really helpful way if you're sort of filtering. A lot of people love to use this, after they run a scan, they'll save it to a chart list, and then they'll sort of flip through all those scan results in CandleGlance, just looking at those mini charts. These are great also because you can toss them out if you wanted to get rid of something like, let's say, applied materials. I want to toss that one. I just hit the little trash can icon and I can toss that out right away. So it makes it easy, again, to sort of load in a big list of ticker symbols, flip through them, toss out the ones that just don't really look good to you in one of those mini little views. And all you have to do to get rid of them is that little trash can icon. Again, similar concept, you can actually customize all of these styles. So I've customized my CandleGlance charts to look exactly like this with sort of a 1 year chart here with a couple key moving averages that I follow, and then the scooter panel down below. All of these are fully customizable. So again, we'll put that link in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube. That'll help you get a little bit more information on how to customize all of these charts. You also have a couple options at the top of CandleGlance for different chart durations. So you've got your custom style, but you can also load in different durations. If I wanted a 6-month view, you can do that. This will load just kind of the standard 6-month view. And you can actually even go in here and add some indicators, which is a great way to sort of on the fly customize your CandleGlance charts. So a lot to play around with there. Below that, we have RRG. So you can actually take everything from a list and load it in. Now, it's a little crazy for one of these big lists, but if I want to do something like, again, my global equities list, which has just a few symbols on it, now I've got just a couple of those symbols loaded into an RRG chart. This is a great way to sort of almost save RRGs. You can create lists for specific ticker symbols that you want to watch on an RRG chart. Again, another tool that actually has a standalone version, and one that was created by a close partner of ours, Julius de Kempenaar, one of our senior technical analysts. Follow Julius's work on StockCharts TV. He does a ton on RRGs. He's actually the creator of it. So a lot more to learn about RRG. We're not going to touch on that today, but just know you do have an RRG view for your SharpCharts ChartList. So pretty cool to see that in here. Similar concept with seasonality. You've actually got the option to do seasonality charts for everything in the list. So again, we're looking at that global equities list, which has just a couple of different ETFs in it, but we can quickly pull up seasonality charts for anything in this list. So here you see that same select chart menu. So let's say we wanted to do emerging markets. That's one of the ETFs that I have stored in this list. I can just quickly load that up. Now I've got a seasonality chart here of VWO. I can pull this time frame out. We actually did an episode on seasonality and how that works just a few weeks ago. So one to go back and watch. Maybe we'll put a link to that in the description below there on YouTube as well. But again, you can get the seasonality charts of your chart lists. You've got a MarketCarpet option, which is really similar. So again, this takes all the symbols from that list, puts them into a MarketCarpet, which is another one of our standalone tools. A great one that I love to look at, especially for a list like this, global equities, just kind of gives you a sense of, okay, all these different global ETFs, what are they doing? In one view, we can see everything is not looking great today. A lot of red on MarketCarpet for this specific list. So again, another view that we'll have to do a standalone episode on, but you do have that MarketCarpet option here as well. Finally, we have a correlation option, a pretty interesting one. So this allows you to customize which symbol you want to run a correlation calculation with. And then for everything in that list over a specific time period, you've got different options here for sort of how far you want to go back in time. We'll spit out the average correlation, but we'll also give you correlation values for everything in that list. So in this case, we're looking at a list correlated against the S&P 500 SPX. We're looking at a list that's entirely equities, and it is from around the globe, but a lot of those are pretty highly correlated with the S&P 500, obviously. If we looked at a list that had some different asset classes in it, some things that were non-equity asset classes, this correlation view becomes pretty important. So those are most of your standard views that you're going to have available to you here in SharpCharts. Again, you can customize which one is going to be your favorite. If you go back to the dashboard, we'll do that really quick. You run over here, click ChartLists, come down and look for that little gears icon. Give that a click and you can customize which view you want to be your default. So every time when you save it, every time you, let's say I changed it to 10 per page, every time you come here and you click on a list, it's going to change which view you look at. So remember the first time we did that, I had summary view saved. Now I set it to 10 per page. And so when I click on that chart list, I've got 10 per page. There's my annotated chart that we looked at earlier. Really easy to sort of customize which one you want to be your favorite. Now I'm going to go back to the dashboard really quick because I mentioned that we were going to create a new chart list and we were going to actually test out that edit page as well. It's a really important one, so I want to make sure we walk through that quickly before we jump over to ACP. So here on the dashboard, I've got that little new button. I'm going to give that a click and I'm going to enter in our new chart list. That's going to be our name for this. And just to make sure it's easy to find, I'm going to use my little trick, give it those stars so that it appears at the top of the list. When I hit create new list, I'm going to automatically be taken over to the edit page. This chart list obviously is empty because we're just creating it, but we're going to be able to fill it in with some different symbols right from that edit page. So here we go, create new list. Now we're on the edit page. You notice that it looks back, looks a lot similar to, very similar to what we were looking at before. You've got that sort of header at the top, but the view that we have selected now is that edit view. This gives you a couple of different options. Most importantly, it allows you to fill in those chart lists with different symbols. You also have the ability to edit the chart list name. You just give that a click right on the title. You can change that and hit save. Makes it really easy to edit that. You can send this to a friend if you want. You can also access our public chart list area. This is actually how you come and create a public chart list. Again, somewhere you're going to have to do a standalone episode of the show on, but just know that you have that here available to you, some things to play around with there. But most importantly, like I mentioned, we've got the add charts to this list panel, which has a couple of different tabs to it. So we'll run through those really quick. If you want to just add one chart to this list, all you got to do is type in a ticker symbol right here. You see that you actually get that little autofill search box. So when I click that, it'll load that in there. So if you were wondering what's the ticker symbol for that company again, it starts with an A. Oh, that's right. It's Agilent. It just is A. Okay, so you get that search box. You can fill that in right away. You can enter a chart name if you wanted to customize the chart name, or if you just want to go with the default, when you just type in a ticker symbol, we're going to add it just with the standard company name. But if you want to modify that, give it your own sort of custom name, you can also do that in this box here. And of course, if you want to add any comments to this chart, you can do that right below. Now, that's if you just want to add one stock at a time, one ETF at a time, one ticker symbol to the list. You also have the option to add multiple ticker symbols to a list. You can separate these with a comma or with a space. You can hit the return key to separate those. So let's say I wanted to do Apple, I wanted to do Microsoft, I wanted to do Netflix. I can separate them in this way, or I can actually separate these with a comma like this. When I hit add, it's going to automatically add those charts to this list. So there you go. It's really easy to add those to this list. Now I've got 3 different stocks, and that's going to add to the list with my default SharpCharts chart style. So whatever you've set back on the SharpCharts workbench, whatever sort of default style you've set for yourself, that's what's going to be applied when you add these new charts to this list. We're going to run through these options here in a sec for sort of editing things that are also in the list. But before we do that, I'm going to go over here to this other tab, the From Group tab, one that I use a lot. This allows you to add stocks from predefined groups. So if you want to add something like all the Dow Industrial stocks or everything in the S&P 100 or the S&P 500, you can do that right from here. You've also got the S&P sectors here. And then a couple of miscellaneous groups actually for instance, market summary symbols, all the different symbols that we have on our market summary page. So this makes it really easy. You know, again, we get a lot of people that say, hey, I want to add everything from the S&P 100. Well, this makes it really easy to come here, click that, and we'll automatically add that list for you. You don't have to go filling in the symbols 100 at a time, especially for something like the S&P 500. That's one that we get a lot to. People want to add all 500 stocks from the S&P 500. You can do that really easily with this menu. You also get some options down below to add everything from different U.S. industry groups or different Canadian industry groups for our Canadian chartists as well. So a couple of different sort of from group options there that make it really easy to create lists for specific sort of predefined groups. Finally, you can upload from a CSV. So if you're doing any work in Excel and you want to spit out a CSV file of the different ticker symbols that you're watching, you can always upload that here. We'll pull that in and add them to your new chart list. So lots and lots of different options. And of course, these also work after you've added something to a list. So for instance, I've already added these 3, but if I wanted to go in here and add the S&P 100 components, I can click add, and those will just add right on top of my list. Now, it did duplicate Apple because that is an S&P 100 component. So you might get some duplicates there, but we add a little 2 to make it really easy to see that and to get rid of it if you want. Now, that's a good segue, though, into how to edit things that are in a list. So you notice that I just gave this a check because I don't really want 2 Apple charts in here. So I'm going to give that a check. I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and you'll notice that that list of buttons, that row of buttons, is now colored. Before, it actually didn't really have any color to it. They were all sort of grayed out. Now we can actually work with these, though. So we get a couple of different options across the bottom. You can select everything in the list with this button right here if you wanted to just sort of wipe this list out, but you didn't want to delete the entire list. You just want to sort of start fresh, get all the ticker symbols out of there, and then start populating again. You can select all. You can hit delete to delete anything that you've selected. So for instance, up at that top, I selected that Apple duplicate chart. And when I scroll back down, I can hit delete. It's going to ask me if I'm sure. And now that duplicate chart is out. So that makes it really easy to delete things from a list. Anything that you want to delete, you can just select them here, hit delete. You also have the option, though, to move stuff, copy stuff, merge stuff between lists. So this is helpful. Again, a lot of people use this when they're running scans. Maybe they create a new chart list for a scan, and then they want to take the things that they actually really care about and merge those into another list that they're maybe watching a little bit more closely. Or if you've been moving things from a watch list into a portfolio when you actually go to buy something, that's another one that I do quite a lot. I've got my watch list, and then when I actually place a trade and go really buy something, I'll move it from the watch list over into my portfolio list. You've got a couple of different actions here that you can take. So you can copy charts from one list to another. That's just going to duplicate them and put them in the other list. You can move them from one list to another. That will actually take it out of this list, put it in another list. And then you can also merge into another one. So when you copy something, there's a chance that we're going to have, maybe duplicates. Again, if you're working with bigger lists, you might have some duplicates. If you merge things into a list, it's going to basically ignore those duplicates. This is, again, something I use actually a lot when I'm running scans. I've got some scans that I run every day, and I sort of fill up a list. For instance, I do that with new 52-week highs. So I've got scans every day that I'm running for new 52-week highs. And then I'm merging those scan results into the same list every day after the close. So by the end of the week, I end up with this list that has no duplicates in it, but it shows me everything that made a new 52-week high that week. So the merge option is actually a really helpful one, again, with scan results for a lot of people. But there are many other use cases for why that merge option is helpful as well. Now, a couple of different options too. You've got one that I use pretty frequently for applying a style to everything in a selected list. So this is good for me when I'm, for instance, I've got a portfolio list that's got some stocks in it, some ETFs in it, and maybe even some mutual funds in it. I've got different chart styles for each of those, depending on the type of security that it is, whether it's a stock, an ETF, or a mutual fund. So when I create a new list, I can then actually go select all the ETFs and apply my ETF style to it. Select all of the stocks and apply my stock style to it. Select the mutual funds, apply my mutual fund style to it. Or anything that you can come up with anytime that you want to apply a specific style to anything in a list. That's what this is going to allow you to do. So when you hit that, it's going to open up this menu and allow you to select one of your saved chart styles. Again, these are all of my different saved chart styles. So like I was saying, I've got ETF styles, I've got stock styles, I've got index styles, index ETF styles, crazy things, intraday styles, weekly, monthly, all of that good stuff. So anytime that I'm creating a list and I want to apply a specific chart style to it after I've sort of filled up that list with all the ticker symbols, that's what this can do, the apply style to all button. So that's a pretty complete run through of the edit page. You have one more button there to remove numbers from anything in the list. That's a little bit more obscure. But for the most part, that is what you can do with the edit page. A pretty complete rundown. I know I threw a ton at you here with our SharpCharts ChartList views. But again, a lot of customizations that you can make, a lot to play around with this different view menu. So you got all these different chart list views to go and play around with. And then pick your favorite, set that on the dashboard, go back and set that one as your favorite. So now that we've done the run through on SharpCharts, we're going to quickly jump over to ACP. A lot of similarities, but there are some differences between the two platforms. I want to show you how chart lists work in our new advanced charting platform as well. So to get to ACP, you got a couple of different options. You actually got an ACP button right here. You can click that. But if you want to launch ACP with a specific ticker symbol, you can always go up to this menu at the top of any page around StockCharts, select ACP from the menu. Let's say we'll just load Apple in there. Here we go. We're launching ACP, and now we are in the platform. If you're not familiar with ACP, we've been doing a lot of videos on it, talking a lot about it. But if you're not familiar with it, this is a full screen, interactive, advanced charting platform. Tons and tons that you can do here. You can zoom in and out. Time is a lot more fluid here. It's not really a fixed chart in the way that SharpCharts is. You can move things up and down the screen if you wanted to reposition RSI there above or below. Maybe you want to move it below the accumulation distribution panel. All of that good stuff you can do a lot with ACP. It continues to evolve week after week. We really are actively developing this platform. It continues to grow and grow and grow. You can also create layouts. You can create multi-chart layouts with many charts on the screen. So for instance, I've got a daily and a weekly view here, which allows me to see a daily chart and a weekly chart on the screen all at once. Lots and lots and lots that you can do. So lots to go play around with. We've been doing, like I said, lots of videos and tutorials on it and everything, and we'll just continue to do those as ACP continues to grow. But for the sake of today's conversation, we're looking at ChartList because we have the same concept built into ACP. It is a bit of a different world because this is, a new type of chart. They're not the same as SharpCharts. So we do have a chart list existing in ACP that you have to go create, but it gives you a lot of flexibility, and we've actually built in a way to bring your SharpCharts in as well. So up here in the top right corner, you've got a chart lists button. That's going to open up the chart list panel. And you'll notice that you've got a lot to run through here. In this case, I've got that same tier 1 watch list that we were looking at earlier. all of these different symbols loaded in here in sort of this, this data table with price data and everything in there. You've got a tab at the top. This is going to allow you to switch between your ACP chart lists or your SharpCharts chart lists. We'll run through the ACP ones really quick, and then I'll show you how you can access your SharpCharts chart list as well. So you have a menu to access all of your different ACP chart lists. That's what this menu does here. You notice that I've set this up in a very, very similar way because I've spent a lot of time curating and crafting my SharpCharts list. So I've just sort of brought that framework over to ACP. So this looks very, very similar. Below that, you get the number of charts. You also get this load symbol only button, which we'll talk about in just a sec. But then you get all of the different items in your chart list. You can click on any of these to get a chart of it. Makes it really, really easy to flip through all of the different charts in your list. Again, you can click on each of these or use the arrow keys to move between them. It's, again, really easy and fast to flip through your chart list, kind of like 10 per page. This is sort of the 10 per page version in ACP. You can also hold down the Shift key and click on anything in one of these chart lists to actually add that to the screen. So if I wanted to sort of build up a multi-chart view with, let's say, 4 charts on the screen, I can hold the Shift key, click on anything in this sidebar, and that is going to open up a new chart. So really easy to create multi-chart layouts based on your chart lists as well. Now, one other thing is this load symbol only. So when you save a symbol to a chart list, it's going to save the chart. All of the indicators, all the settings, the color scheme, everything is going to get saved with that chart inside the chart list. Sometimes, though, when you're flipping through your chart list, you might have a different chart style up on the screen. For instance, I can show you how I use a Bollinger Bands style that's a little bit different. So I've saved charts in this list with a specific style, but sometimes I want to see this list with this Bollinger Band style instead of sort of what I've saved with it. This is helpful if you've got sort of a, more of a custom view, something like, Bollinger Bands is a great example where it's something different that you might not use on a daily basis. You can always hit this load symbol only. And what that's basically going to do is tell us, hey, ignore the saved settings and just apply that symbol to this chart style that I have up in the center of the screen. So we looked at that applied materials chart earlier, which looked a little bit different with the whole blue border and everything. When I click that, now that I've got the load symbol only checkbox on, it's just going to pull in the ticker symbol. It's going to sort of keep this custom style that I have up on the middle of the screen in view and just apply the ticker symbol to it. So an interesting one to play with there. Also helpful when you're using multi-chart layouts. Maybe you create a custom layout and you want to pull different ticker symbols into it from a chart list. This is a great way to do it. You don't have to actually pull the entire chart in. You can just pull a ticker symbol using that checkbox. Now, one of the other things we want to run through really quickly before we wrap up the ACP piece and show you the sharp charts, we also have something that we call the drawer. So you can click this little button down at the bottom of that panel. That's going to actually open up a drawer at the bottom of ACP that's going to give you some of those views from the sharp charts world. So we got a couple more coming. You see we got technicals, fundamentals, and performance tab. Those are all coming soon. But what we have right now is a summary view. So this is going to allow you to see a summary view, just like we were looking at with the sharp charts, right in ACP. You can click on any of these symbols to pull up a chart of that as well. Makes it really easy to do that. So you've got a couple of different options here for viewing your chart list. You can change which chart list you're looking at. Again, maybe we want to go over to that global equities list that we've been flipping over to. Now I can click through any of these and see that sort of summary view at the bottom of my ACP platform. This is also resizable, so you can actually drag this up and down. You can also use these buttons down here to collapse it down and then open it back up. Or if you want to close it entirely, you've got an X right there. So the drawer actually is a really helpful way to sort of work with your ACP chart lists a little bit more. You've got a notes tab, which allows you to keep some chart list notes there. And you've got an edit tab, which is very, very similar to what we were looking at on the SharpCharts view. So we're not going to run through all of that. But again, similar concept. When you check any of these, you get those same action buttons at the bottom. Makes it really easy to work with your ACP chart lists. Now, the other thing you have here, you've got an add symbols button, an edit button, a delete button, and a new list button. That's what those are. We have some of those mirrored over here as well in the bottom right. That's sort of the bottom of the panel. But the add symbols is going to allow you to add symbols to that list, just like we were looking at before. You can add one at a time, you can add multiple, you can add from predefined groups. Editing this list is going to allow you to change the chart list name. If you want to edit your chart list name, you just click that edit button right there. If you need to delete the chart list, you can delete it really easily. Or if you want to add a new chart list, you can hit that, set a new name for your new chart list, and you're off to the races. Again, we've duplicated that at the bottom of the chart list panel as well. So over here on the right side, we've got add symbols, edit list, and delete, and then your big green new chart list button at the bottom as well. So lots to play around with for your ACP chart lists. And this is when you're creating new chart lists that are only going to be visible in ACP. Chart lists for your ACP chart list or your ACP charts. Again, ACP really is a platform. You're sort of going there and you don't really leave. It has everything that you need with views on the side. You've got market summary data. You've got the symbol summary tool built right into it. You can actually run scans right here. You can set alerts right here. Lots and lots in ACP. It really is sort of a stop for you, somewhere that you're going to go and just stay within the platform. So those ACP chart lists are really only visible within ACP, but we're continuing to build out more and more views for those ACP chart lists. So we'll have even more stuff coming for you there really soon. Now, we've just got another couple of minutes. So in the last few minutes here before we wrap up, I want to show you that SharpCharts piece as well, because I mentioned that we've actually made it easy to bring in your saved SharpCharts right into ACP. So over here, I mentioned that tab earlier. When you click SharpCharts at the top of the chart list tab, this is going to look a little bit different, but you've got all of your SharpCharts chart lists, all the chart lists from sort of the previous world. If you've been working with SharpCharts for a long time and you built up all of your chart lists over there, we pull those into this menu here and make them sort of accessible within ACP. So again, this is that new chart list that we created earlier with the S&P 100 in it. All of my chart lists that we've been talking about here, for instance, that global equities list that we keep coming back to, I've got all of those in here. And it makes it really easy for me to see all of those stocks and funds and everything that I've saved into those SharpCharts lists, and then also access those saved charts. So for instance, I've got load symbol only turned on. Here is the saved SharpChart sort of created in ACP, an ACP version of that saved SharpChart. And this is accessible for all of my different SharpCharts lists. Really a lot of different options for you here. So again, the idea here is to make it easy to access your saved SharpCharts in ACP. We didn't want to make you recreate anything. If you want to come over to ACP, explore the platform, see if it's for you, see if that's sort of where you want to take your charting on StockCharts. This makes it really easy to bring all of your saved work, all your saved lists and everything right into ACP. It's there for you automatically. And as you're working with SharpCharts, if you're sort of bouncing back and forth between the two platforms, this will actually stay up to date. It's constantly running, constantly staying up to date. So I still do a lot of work in SharpCharts. I'm doing a lot of work in ACP now as well, sort of bouncing back and forth between the two worlds. And this makes it really easy for me to access all the saved SharpCharts right here in ACP. By the way, at the bottom here, you do have a Save as ACP Chart List button. So you can always give that a click and actually save any of your SharpCharts lists as ACP lists to sort of bring them over into the ACP world. So I know we covered a ton on today's show, a lot to dig into with these chart list views in both SharpCharts and ACP. Thanks for sticking through it. Hopefully you got a lot out of this. There's a lot to explore depending on which world you're in or if you want to bounce back and forth between them. But hopefully this helped you get a good sense of what you can do with all these different chart list views, how chart lists can help you, how you can add symbols to them and really start to sort of build up your list, save your charts, organize them, create watch lists, portfolios, all that good stuff. Again, my name is Grayson Roze. I'm the Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts. It's been good to be with you on today's episode of StockCharts In Focus. Remember, we do this show every Friday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, airing live on the channel or up on our YouTube channel as well, and now on the new StockCharts TV on-demand platform as well. So lots of ways to watch. Again, we'll put some links in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube. That'll help you get to some of those things that we were mentioning earlier. And until the next one, chart on, my friends.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.